What's up, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, it's Nestlemania. Alongside for the ride is a man that, well, needs his own personal security, but not big, beefy men. He needs the JC Force, JC.
My JC Force hopefully would do a lot better than the Miz Force did. We're going to get there because that did give me a few laughs. A lot of wrestling to get to this week, as always. But Nestlemania, we're going to get right into it. You know where we start? That's the shine. Always in the shine, much like Mandy Rose, the greatest women's champion of all time. Probably the greatest champion of all time. But, you know, this is her category. But we're going to start off on SmackDown because Nestlemania, I try not to say this too often because it's easy to be hyperbilly and just throw things out there. But the Bloodline segment on SmackDown this week might have been the best segment of the year. I'd really have to think about it, but it's definitely up there in terms of one of the better segments in the last few years, period. The roller coaster of emotions, the disappointment that I was feeling when you truly thought that Roman Reigns was just tossing Sami out of the Bloodline. The way Jey Uso felt is the complete opposite how all of us felt at home watching, because we are loving this. It is like Sami is just, we love him so much. You're starting to hear it really in the crowd reactions. Everywhere they go, he's so over like Rover. But obviously we get the little turn there, and Roman gives him his own shirt, the Honorary Uce. Solo's pumped for it. Solo's got his back big time. We'll get more into that. Jimmy was thrilled for him. But, man, what really sells this segment is Sami takes us on this ride, and Jey Uso also takes us on this ride where he's so excited. Then you just see him in the back just leaning up against, just scowling. But, like, Sami hugging Roman, we're like, oh, my God, he touched the Tribal Chief. And Roman hugs him right back, man. This was such a fun, beautiful segment that it's not too often in wrestling where they kind of hook you and pull you along for the ride on something like this. So I'm loving this. Everything Bloodline right now is just mwah.
If Sami Zayn's Honorary Uce t-shirt isn't the best seller in a couple weeks, I would be shocked, because everybody could be an Honorary Uce, right? So, I mean, that's the way you can vicariously live, put up your number one and be part of the Bloodline, be an Honorary Uce. It wasn't Honorary Sami, it was an Honorary Uce. So, and I appreciate the swagger he did have after that, with the Ricochet and the Madcap Moss, and of course the Ricochet doing his own, someone else invisible threw him into the thing. But Solo, so here's the thing. I'm really looking at Solo, right? Because they went in that promo and they said a lot of great stuff. But the fact that I was watching it going, oh, Solo was sent by the elders, to protect. And then, of course, Roman Reigns looks at him and goes, yeah, but you answer to me now. And I just thought, what a great little nugget, because, yeah, obviously you answer to the Tribal Chief. But the reason he said that, which I believe, is that somewhere down the line, Solo and Sami are going to be a team. They are going to challenge the Usos. It's going to create a rift. The Bloodline will still have the championships, but it's just what I can see is just spreading the wealth. Like I just see it working out really well here. And Sami is going to I'm waiting for the day we get the Sami J, because I think that would be very telling. Like the Bloodline implodes kind of, but I think Jay is the only one holding out with Sami. We know that. And Paul Heyman's kind of indifferent about it. Like, Jesus Christ, I got to deal with this fucking guy. But it's so interesting because, like, I don't really care about Jimmy because he's just kind of there. Heyman always does, like, reminds me how great he is. But Jay is great because you're focusing on Jay. Sammy's out of this world. And then all Roman Reigns has to do is just kind of sit there and then interject like a dad. And it works. And the longevity of this can keep going and going and going. And Solo is such a great shot in the arm because now it feels like it's not the Usos, and then like one likes and one doesn't kind of thing. It's like, oh no, there's more people that like Sammy than Jay. And I really like that because Jay Uso had the greatest feud, I think, to start off the tribal chief thing in general. I
Absolutely,
thought that was great. And I guess the stat says he's the first one in WWE history, at least on the main roster, to pin Roman Reigns way back in the beginning. And so there's stuff there that you can chomp on. Not that Jay is going to win and become Universal Champion, folks, but there's just so much to unpack there that it's going to be so much fun when they run out of options. That's what I think. They're gonna break the glass when they run out of options until they get to Cody.
Yeah, no, and the great point you brought about Solo is it's just like we talked about Sammy injecting new life into the bloodline. Solo kind of has too, and it gives you the opportunity for stuff like last night because we've really seen the Usos be everywhere, especially when Roman took a back seat. So it's kind of allowing them to maybe like not have to be as everywhere. Obviously, they're in Canada too. I'm pretty sure they can't travel there, but that's neither here nor there. But it's another dynamic where you have someone else, and when you have a stable like this, it's nice to have it grow. And him really taking on that enforcer role kind of allows the Usos not to have to be the enforcers as much, because some people could say, oh, it kind of takes away from them as a tag team if they're constantly just having to be Roman Reigns' henchmen. Well, now they don't always have to be, because they literally have said Solo Sikoa is like the enforcer of the bloodline now. So it's a nice dynamic to have. And I like that he's very, very much like Sammy, because since he's been around, he's seen like how loyal Sammy is. Sammy doesn't screw up like Jay has. So I think that's important. I think you're right on the money that we're going to at some point have a tag team match, and the Usos will probably win, but I think it will start those cracks in the bloodline down the line. But either way, it's the best thing on wrestling TV right now. It's so good. It's so interesting. It's amazing. Like, we shit on Roman all the time as a tribal cuck. I do it. It's mostly a playful thing, but man, when he shows up, man, you just can't help but just like you're glued to it. Like he makes everything feel special.
He is the tribal chief and the queef, all that other stuff too. Our boy, the Joe Stopper, saying Solami? Hashtag that's their name, Solami, Team Solami. I mean, he got us
like
with the
salami.
shimmy. Salami is great. Solami. That's a rough one.
Because Sakami isn't as good, or
no.
Zanoa.
Zanoa Sequoia. Zanoa Sequoia.
You and your tree obsession.
I love trees, man. Arbor Day. Adam over here, baby. I know. I love. I got a tree hug is fine with me. I'm gonna stay in the theme here of SmackDown because I fucking loved it. I thought it was great. I'm putting this in my top part of the shine, baby. Otis versus Braun Strowman. Let's get these hands as JC's wearing his shirt. Roar all over the place. I was thoroughly impressed with this matchup. I had thought this was absolutely no shot in hell of entertaining me / actually keeping my my attention. But the best part of this entire thing, folks, was it was a fucking banger. And here's the other thing. It made Otis look like an animal. He got Braun off his feet. He slammed him a couple times. You keep forgetting how good Otis is sometimes. Like, oh, he's just a yeah, Chad kind of guy. But when he's in the middle of that ring, he's pretty good. And Braun, to get a good match out of Braun Strowman takes a certain kind of thing when you need a certain dance partner, right?
You got to keep up with him. And that's why Roman is so good.
Yeah.
But we see it all the time. Braun has these other matches with bigger guys, and they can't keep up with him, which is crazy to say because he's usually so much bigger. But like Braun, like as crazy as it is to say for a big man, like works at such a high speed. And that's why like the little guys obviously like are fine. But when you get a lot of the medium to like larger guys, like it normally like it's sloppy. It's not great because they can't keep up with him. Otis kept up with him. And you said it, like this, honestly, this might have been my favorite match of the week just because it's so unique. Like a lot of the other matches kind of seem similar. Like they obviously like, oh, the athleticism, the spots, like whatever. But like this match, like it's something we don't get to see very often, which is two big guys have like a longer type of match and it actually hold your attention the whole time. They both bring such a unique skill set. Yeah, skill shit. They bring a lot of skill shits. But no, yeah, I'm glad you brought this up next because obviously I'm wearing the shirt here today because I was going here. I loved it. And next week, we get even more Braun and Otis because on Raw, Braun will be taking on Gable as we heard in a phone call, which apparently has Theory's number, which is hilarious. And then Otis is taking on Gargano, and which will be a very interesting match. So
anyway, we're not talking about that in the shine just yet. So I will say this much. I really think that Braun has been a breath of fresh air since he's been back. He gets that injection of excitement back into you. I mean, he's just that guy. You can't not, well, you got to look at him. He's huge, but he's so much fun. And I think that's the difference when it's like some things are good wrestling, some things are entertainment, and then there's just plain old fun. And every time Braun Strowman enters, it's just plain fun, regardless of what we're watching. So, and again, I want to give a special shout out to Otis. I didn't give him my comeback, but I thought this was probably the best Otis has looked since winning the tag team championships with Gable. And you need to remind us every once in a while how good you are. And you're at the top, the top of the upper echelon here with the tag team division, and Alpha's hanging around. So I think this does good stuff for Otis, honestly. And we know Braun's trajectory. Braun's going to go wherever Braun wants to go. But Otis is such a great talent, and you forget about it. So big kudos to the big number one guy, as I like to say. But that I couldn't enjoy that more. It was awesome.
So we talked about that match. Obviously, that might have been my favorite match of the week, but Nestlemania, there were quite a few other matches this week. If you had to pick another match, what would you say is the next top match?
Well, let me scroll through very quickly because
I got a couple.
There's a couple that I'm not necessarily enjoying. I will say this much. Don't like the ending, but I enjoyed Brutes versus Usos.
Yeah, it was a very good match.
Was great. But again, the schmaz of it all, we get it.
It's a setup. We know what it's for. And Pitium!
It's one of those things, I think we've had this conversation over and over again, but it bears repeating for me, at least, JC. It's like those matches automatically, no matter how good they are, they get taken off the table for like match of the week, match of the year, because of the schmaz, right?
Like, I mean, that's what you get those
but
on
that's
TV.
what they're supposed to do. That's how you build. We get it, but it sucks because it's like you're almost there. You've almost climaxed, right? But you're stuck. Moving over to Raw, I'm curious where you'd go, but I want to say off the top right here, Seth versus Ray was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I liked it. So I don't know if there's anything else that you want to talk about specifically. So
I did enjoy Sammy and AJ, and I did like the finish in this too, because I thought the finish of this was so important, because obviously we know like Sammy got the win because of Solo, but Sammy's reactions to Solo actually helping him and doing it, like Sammy sold that Solo, I'll be like, oh my God. He's like, I have backup. He's like, I know I've been a part of this, but like for Sammy, it's really been a one-way street with the bloodline. He's been sacrificing himself for them. This was the first moment where the bloodline actually did something for Sammy individually. And you kind of saw that on his face where like, yeah, last week he accepted, he got the hug, he got the t-shirt on SmackDown, but on Raw, Solo gave him the best gift of all. And that was ensuring him a victory over a top star. So that to me was like a huge thing to look at, be like, whoa, okay. Like, not only was this obviously a fun match for obvious reasons, but like they gave us the payoff. And then on the other side of the coin, you obviously like you have the AJ Finn stuff, which, for me, like that's just me and a lot of the internet, huge boner. Yep. So I'm loving all of this and him there. And then him like telling Finn like no, and then getting beat up, but Finn like not going the little extra mile to take him out, still being like, hey AJ, I still love you. The door's still open. Like, you just had to answer for what you did. But it's just like on both sides of the coin, like it benefits Sammy, it benefits AJ, and enhances both those storylines. Like that's what I'm looking for in week-to-week TV with a lot of these matches is like, I usually only need like one thing to progress something, but we got two big story progressions in one match. And that to me is always huge.
It's odd for me because I feel like sometimes, I mean, it's a good thing. I'm sure you can talk me into it. It's just hard when I'm watching going, okay, inevitably we go to Roman Reigns and AJ Styles, right? So it's a long way to get there because we got to still go through November for at least the beginning of November for a crown jewel. And then you would assume Survivor Series. Maybe it's AJ versus maybe Roman Reigns. Maybe
they want to Rumble. Maybe.
Right. And so that you get to that point, but it's like,
I honestly don't think we're close. Cause I mean, I got more on like the AJ Finn Judgment Day, all that stuff in my hope. But I just like, it's something that we've heard rumors of, and we know they've had like some live event matches. So maybe they do it, but I don't know. I just feel like there's way more meat in this type of storyline for AJ at this point in the near future than challenging Roman, but who knows? Maybe it's one of those, like we've seen it like with like Seth getting the one-off against Lashley for the US title and getting cost as part of his storyline riddle. Maybe they do something like that with AJ, like randomly on a random Raw or SmackDown, Roman defends the title. And for storyline purposes, he's obviously cost the match for whatever reason, but it checks a box, So I wouldn't rule that out. But in terms of like a feud, I don't feel like we're close to that. I could be wrong, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel like we're that close to a one-on-one feud.
It's a weird situation, right? Like we're in this weird situation where Extreme Rules is, I think, 2 weeks away. A lot of matches have happened. We can discuss that. But then there's Crown Jewel. right? So things are going to happen there. That's already set. So Roman's just kind of sitting there pacing back and forth. We know War Games in November, big deal for Boston. Everybody show up and show out. But that
Roman might not even be there.
Exactly. He may not be on that card, which then gets to, we don't do a December. We get to, like you said,
day one, which is pretty much.
But I would venture a guess that you're probably in the neighborhood of he will defend that one more time, I think, before the end of the year.
I would say 2, because I think he'll do day one and the Rumble, because there was a big thing last year of making day one feel special. I think they'll do it again, but I feel like one of a title defense at some point before WrestleMania, before it's likely Cody, has to be against Seth in some type of form. So that's also a day one Royal Rumble, or maybe somewhere in between. I could see 2 more before the Rumble. Well, 1 being at the Rumble, like day one in the Rumble after that. And then maybe 1 between WrestleMania or something. So, but who knows? We obviously have a lot of time, but it means like there's not too many like big ones left. And I mean, heck, like the way Braun's going, like we know Roman and Braun's chemistry, they could throw that in there because that's the guy he hasn't really taken on in a while. So I think there's a lot of options for Roman, even though it feels like he beat everyone. Like with Seth, AJ, and Braun, there's an obvious 3, and I'm sure we can come up with more. So
yeah. It seems tough to go, oh my God, April is so far away. That's like forever, right?
Yeah.
But in his terms, it's not. You know, Roman Reigns got that part-time bitch, you know, he just does what he wants. So it is what it is. All right, let's move on to something else. I'll let you take the lead on this for Shine.
All right, well, I'm going to put this in the Shine. A tag team match between, we already talked about them, Gargano and KO defeating the Alpha Academy. The dynamic of these guys is so much fun. Obviously, you're getting KO in his home area, so the crowd's going nuts for it. Canada loves Johnny, too, so they're a fun team. I'm glad that, like, one thing I definitely have noticed is that commentary has a lot more freedom now to reference things from pre-WWE. So they're talking about the relationship from 10 years ago. I think it adds to stuff when you see, like, if you're a random person and you didn't know, like, you're watching, like, why are these guys so much friends? They don't seem like they have much in common, but just a little explanation. You go, oh, okay, that's cool. It's like when you're watching a football game, it's like, oh yeah, these guys were high school teammates. And like, oh, that's pretty cool. So whatever. So I like that added thing. And then obviously, like, anytime KO and Gable are together, or Gargano and Gable, and I thought Otis was a great dynamic in this match. You get Theory coming out, continuing his thing with Johnny. So, I mean, I know you're the hater, and you say Gargano does nothing, but every week he's wrestling and he's feuding with Theory. So, I don't know what you're talking about, but I enjoyed this tag team match.
Your boy Joe says Edmonton is nowhere near Quebec, Jay Sizzle. So
it's in Canada.
Well, that's like saying, like, oh, Texas is close to.
Well, it's like anything else. When these guys go to their home country, they're going to get huge reactions.
Okay. Well, he just wanted to correct you because that's what he does. He's a corrector. Anyway, I have nothing nice to say. So, you know, besides Johnny Gargano doing this a bunch, come on, which you know I fucking hate because no babyface in the world should be doing that shit. It's like, you're not getting a reaction. You need to get the reaction for the crowd, not the crowd giving you a reaction. You know better. You've been on the top. You know what to do. Don't be because
Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan didn't know what they were doing either. John Cena, CM Punk, all these people throughout the years that have always done that. It's such this is like one of those things that you say that is just it's so stupid.
No,
it's one thing if they're coming out and there's no reaction from the crowd, but it's like to say there's no reaction for Johnny Gargano, you're a fucking liar. So
no, look,
I'm just
telling you what it is.
I'm
just telling you, he's sitting there doing freaking cartwheels and woo.
You are such.
And here's the other thing with Johnny Gargano, the backstage segment with the guard on the ground, and he like went over and was like, oh, like look at this, and he like kicked him and he like walked away like a little chooch. It was so stupid. It was just he's trying to. He's just like too hard.
That's again like we go through this all the time with you.
I can't do it.
They're trying too hard. I'm like, no, they're being themselves. Like Johnny Gargano's a quirky, fun guy. That's why people like him. So when he acts like himself, you're like, he's trying too hard. I'm like, no, that's how he is. He's a fucking goofball. Some people are goofballs, and you know why they're endearing? Because they're fucking goofballs. They're not all these like brah brah brah. You're such a oh my god. So you know what? Just for that, up next, his wife debuted, Candice LeRae. That's a big Shine thing too. Welcome back, Candice. We got a nice this was a nice comeback. This was someone else who before she was pregnant and left, like we felt like she was getting close to a main roster run. We know that she's capable of a lot of good things. I think she adds some much needed depth to this division where we're seeing a lot of the same people every week. It was nice to have another mix in. And again, it's another one of those matches where debut for Candice, stock up, jobber alert against Nikki ASH, who's currently undergoing a character change. So big for her. So how can I not like this?
Your boy Joe Stopper again saying Candace got a bigger pop than Johnny. She's also the better wrestler in the family too.
I would
That's
also,
beside the
well,
point.
I'm going to stop you there, but I also would hope like if someone's running a surprise return, like that should probably get a bigger pop than
Yeah.
someone who's just coming out, you know?
I agree.
So,
It was odd to me because I felt like Canada, I don't know if the mics were different or something. It felt like you probably were there and it was deafening. But on TV, for some reason, it felt like nobody was really waking up for things.
yeah,
and
the
it was
stadiums
bizarre.
can be tough sometimes, as we see when we watch some of the bigger shows. It's like we know they're loud, but it's like in those big stadiums, there's so much empty space. The noise goes a lot of places. So on TV, it doesn't necessarily translate. But then again, like there are moments you can hear it. So it's just tough. It's a tough thing sometimes.
It's you know, it's not great. It's not great, Bob. Not great at all. Anything else that you would like to talk about here?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to SmackDown in the women's division,
Jesus.
and you know what? Liv Morgan sacrificed Lacey Evans to the Extreme Gods. We've been looking for something to give us a little extra in this match because we know the Liv Ronda stuff, we know, and until we see it's not. But like, it's one of those things like you have to kind of make us believe a little bit that like having weapons, like maybe it helps Liv kind of hang out with Rousey a little bit. But we've never really seen her get extreme or whatever. So I like that they just went out of their way on SmackDown to be like, you know what, Liv, show some aggression, use some weapons. I love the camera angle of the freaking senton thing. That's like a cool thing of like her coming right at the camera. I love when they do stuff in wrestling when they can position it and the spot feels like it's coming at you. I think it adds like a cool dynamic. But I thought they did a good job, like for something that probably in terms of excitement, we're not really there because we've seen it a bunch of times and whatever, but they're just like, they're trying to give us a little extra. And I thought it was mostly effective. And you know what? It was good to see Lacey Evans back on TV too.
Yeah, Lacey Evans with some weird makeup. I don't know what the hell that was, but it is what it is. I thought this match, and until the end was really great. I thought the one, that's all I need to remember. The rest of it I can forget forever. Doesn't matter. But the rest of it, I was like, wow, this is awkward and sloppy. And both of them were kind of just like at a slower pace than normal. And it just felt like they were off. Like they just weren't meeting each other the way they probably should in the ring. And that was rough for me to get through because it just doesn't build a case for Liv, in my opinion. Like she needs momentum. But then again, went through the table, the crowd went nuts. It doesn't matter. So they did whatever they needed to do to accomplish, they did. But I'm curious, JC, I'm going to take a quick detour very quickly because this is something that just popped into my brain. And I'm curious your thoughts on this. With the evolution of how things are changing, especially with, who's in charge, there's a lot of different matches at Extreme Rules, one being the Fight Pit. Can you see down the line the Fight Pit, Ronda Rousey, and a player to be named later to actually be a monumental, big deal, main event feel? And who could be that person, you think?
I mean, I think it's one of those things you could look at the obvious and look at like the Shayna Baszler of the world or whatever. But honestly, I was kind of pro how they're doing Riddle and Seth. Seth, not really a guy who fits in there. So if like down the line, if Ronda's feuding with one of the other top women, whether it's Charlotte or Becky or Bianca, just to name people, like I wouldn't mind that like different type of scenario, So I would be fine. I think it'd be a cool thing to see with Ronda. I don't want it obviously in the near future because we're just seeing it now, but whether it's maybe next year at a big event or maybe next year's Extreme Rules, if Ronda's still around, like I wouldn't mind that being a match. Why not?
I mean, I was thinking that, Shayna Baszler is probably the most important person.
It makes sense, but sometimes when you get the same style, it's like, I'll just go watch UFC if I want to watch two UFC fighters fight in a cage, but I would like to see a former UFC fighter fight someone who's never done it before. Like, it's kind of intriguing.
Yeah, and I tend to agree, but it's definitely in the back of my mind. I think the Fight Pit is going to, I would rather see Ronda Rousey in the Fight Pit just at least once before she's done.
How about this? Ronda versus Rhea in the Fight Pit.
That'd be cool. I would love that. I think that'd be vicious. I think that'd be great.
Rhea's style, I think, would do well in there.
The thing that you have to have here, I think, is just having the ability to be kind of a smash mouth person. And I haven't seen a lot of women besides Ronda do it in a smash mouth way. So, it is what it is. What are you laughing at? This one, Birdsky? Am I late? But this man stands Von Wagner and hates Gargano. Can I wrap my head around it? No, you can't. Listen, all I have to say is this. Von Wagner's chip is bigger. That's all it is. It's a bigger chip. Johnny Gargano, not for me, is what it is.
He's a size shamer. He's a size shamer. No. Adam, Nestlemania Nestle is a size shamer.
No, that's not true at all. I am an equal opportunity hater. There's a difference. But I will say this much, Bert Ski, if that is your real name. It's not, clearly.
They call him Hatsky.
Hatsky?
Hack. H-A-C-K.
Is he a hack at? What is he a hack at?
He hacks at Call of Duty. That's why he's so good.
Oh, okay. He's probably he's probably the asshole in Call of Duty that just squats on people's faces after he beats them. That's probably what he does.
I mean, he kills a lot of people. So
yeah, well, good for him. Good for him. Watch Bert. play Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 2 is probably out soon, right?
It is.
It is.
So
I'm
been
sure
playing the beta over the weekend.
Well, maybe I'll pop my head in one of these times and watch you guys do terrible
He
things.
does stream. Birdsky HD, I believe, is the Twitch account. So
Birdsky HD. All right. Well, there you go. Free
high
plug.
def.
High def. Not that standard shit. So anyway, I don't know what the fuck we were talking about before this fucking. Oh, so yeah, Von Wagner is not better than Johnny Gargano in the ring. I'm just saying I don't like Johnny Gargano acting like a goddamn animaniac.
All right,
bouncing up and down like
we're
a fucking
in the shine.
bozo.
I'm not. We're not gonna have this platform every week where you just have to come on here and shit on
Then
Gargano.
stop
One of the
bringing
most
him up.
popular fucking wrestlers on the fucking planet.
No, he's
oh
not.
My god, you're such a moron.
He's
All right,
not.
I have one more piece of shine, possibly.
Please.
Which I was kind of half asleep when I was watching it, but like I assume it was good and it seemed good at points. It was
That's
given
a
lot
strong
of time.
argument.
It's two of the best women's wrestlers on the planet right now. What do you think of Bianca and Io?
So here's the thing, right? I liked the match. The promo beforehand, once again, unnecessary.
They always are.
Unnecessary.
Anytime Bailey speaks, honestly,
oh my God.
I can't. I'm sorry.
And the Bianca thing was a little weird too, because I was sitting there going like, I love Bianca. I should be into this. I'm not. Then I saw Io and I'm like, okay, great. This was like a fumble into getting into the match that you wanted to see. It was just like, oh shit, we need this matchup. We need it to make sense. You don't really need more than this. And they went out, but they paraded out for like too long.
I would have just started the show with Bianca's music and then brought out Io and had the match. And if you want to do promos, do it after, because I mean, we know these two are electric. In my opinion, right now, in terms of people who are actively wrestling, these might be my top two women's wrestlers, like a pure talent on the planet right now.
Well, there's a lot of people that aren't wrestling right now, so that's
that's why there was a caveat, because if it was boss time, I'd think she'd probably be in there.
Yeah, you get a boss boner. We know.
And Charlotte too. Like both Sasha and Charlotte are out, so they're excluded from this conversation at the moment.
So I asked this question on Twitter, JC, and I'm going to pose it to you and Birdsky and anybody else that's listening right now. Does it feel like Bianca Belair hasn't been vulnerable for a while? It feels weird. Like she's on like this train. But I feel like for a baby face, it's nice to see them being in peril. And I feel like I haven't seen her, like kind of happened with Becky, but I feel like it hasn't happened in a really long time.
Well, yeah, I honestly, you're right on for obvious reasons, because I think since Becky, it's been tough. We're supposed to have Rhea, then she had the injury. So it kind of like, yeah, Bianca hasn't really been challenged. But then again, it's like, she's supposed to be like the most dominant woman on the like wrestling and like unchallenged. So it is, but it's tough. It definitely makes it tough because like she's obviously always going to be interested over because she's Bianca. And I think that's why they get away with it. But it's like, you are right. Like they haven't had those challengers, and Bailey like should feel like that. And she does have a stable with her, which always makes it help. But it's just like, I don't know. Bailey might actually win that ladder match, but at the same time, like, I don't think she's better than Bianca. I don't believe it. Like if she's going to win the ladder match, it's going to be because of bullshit, which is how heels win all the time. So whatever. But yeah, no, I don't think you're wrong. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things. It's like, there's not too many people that I could believe standing across from Bianca would have a chance of beating her. It's pretty much like the list is like Ronda, like Becky's obviously like any of the 4 horsewomen and stuff. But like, besides that, it's like whoever you put up against Bianca, it's like, well, she's probably just going to smash them. Much like our tribal chief, Yeah, but it's like Reigns and Bianca are up here, right. and like you start to go down. But like, again, that's how you should be with your champions. But I understand what you're saying for sure.
It's hard because I feel like there's a disconnect as a viewer from you. Like she's fantastic. She's great. There's nothing I can hate about her, but I don't feel that connection, that emotional connection as a viewer. Game day? What? No, I didn't get it. But
College Game Day. It was pretty good. It was a couple moments that I enjoyed. It was obviously like Lee Corso, if you watch the show and you're familiar with him, the guy who puts on the head, the old guy, like their back and forth was funny because he always tries to like do a thing with the guest picker, but like with her, she kind of like ran through a thing like, I'm the fastest and the toughest. And he was just like, he didn't know what to do. He was like, oh God, I can't compete with that. And like, obviously you have McAfee there hyping her up. But the other part I loved is when she was at the Ohio State game, she's like, well, my husband's tag team partner really loves them. So if I don't pick them, he's going to kill me. So I got to take Ohio State. So it was fun. It was nice. Like, this is why, like, I'm a big fan of like Bianca and Liv type champions sometimes, because you put them out in the wild and it gives you like free exposure because they're so likable. You can put these two anywhere. And that's why I think like they're no brainers. Like, even though on the week to week TV, when we watch, it might not be our favorite thing to have like a baby face champion like reigning, but you get all this extra stuff for the company, which is good. So I think right now they're in a very positive place in the women's division because of these two are everywhere. Everywhere you look, like there's Liv or Bianca clips in the wild. So
I didn't see it. I'll take your word for it. It sounds like a blast. So, but again, back to my point. She does great for media. She's awesome. But it is hard to watch sometimes when you're watching.
That's most babyface champions, though.
Yeah, it's hard. It's very, very hard. Anything else you want to get a little heaty? Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. There's a lot to talk about. Let's get through it. Let's see. Well, I just want to make sure I got this right. The boys of the they got a jobber alert against New Day. That hurt my feelings. And then of course Max, Dupree has a tiff, leaves. They keep teasing it. Seems like it's going to take a while before Max breaks away and becomes LA Knight. Is what it is. Not great.
Shout out Maxine.
Maxine, yes, we know. Maxine is a JC girl. If there's ever
been.
I
think she's an everyone girl.
Everyone. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the big snore. It's Karrion Kross taking on Mac in a strap match. Good God, if that main events, I'm fucking done.
You want to know what my notes say?
No,
Drew
please.
Kross in a strap match. Boring. Yeah. I don't
honestly. If you sit there and you sit there, you're like, oh my God.
Put this second to last so I can
good
take a
Lord.
nice break before the
good Lord. This it's probably because of the two people involved, but I have never in my life really cared for a strap match. So for them, I'm like, I get it. It makes
I'm the same way, but we had one recently that was really good, but it was because the feud was so good.
Right. This is so will they, won't they, hot, cold kind of stuff. And it's just, there's nothing you can say to me that a strap match is going to make me excited about. And the two combatants don't help. It really doesn't, because we all know it's going to end. We're going to end with him tying the fucking strap around Mac and putting him in that stupid cross jacket that looks like he's basically humping him. I can't do it.
The only thing that would be nice in this is if, like they tie up Drew on the ropes and Scarlett does like a little tease, like, maybe that'll get people hot.
Yeah, that'll get people talking for another reason or two. But if she shoots a fireball, she's going to miss. So it's okay.
Oh, it's going to be no-sold by Drew. So,
well, they tried like hell. That fireball, she was almost as bad as Hulk Hogan in the Ultimate Warrior in 98, but that's okay. That's okay. She tried. She got the tip of his head. It's all right.
I just hope Jericho saw that and was mad.
Yeah. She's a wizard, damn it. She's a wizard. She's a wizard, Harry. So anyway, I'm not a big fan of the Scarlet, pew, pew, what is what it is. Raquel versus Dakota, a jobber alert for Dakota. That's disservicing your tag champs. Give me that shit over again. Give me a real match. They got history. You could have kept it going. I don't like it. It's too fucking much. Then Shotzi comes out, does the most confusing, whoop, 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 does whatever. We're still dealing with this Shotzi nonsense. I don't know.
Damage control. Overexposed. Cut it back a little bit.
Damage control is literally doing damage to themselves.
They're overexposed, and they're not. I don't want to say they're not good enough, but like they're not charismatic enough on that level to be overexposed. They can't carry it enough.
Yeah.
Sorry. They just can't.
Moving on to things that are kind of odd and ugly. The Bobby Lashley promo with Riddle was confusing to me, and it was just like, we're friends, but we're not friends. We may fight for United States title down the line. We're not really friends. Never get in my match again. And it was just like, oh God. And like, here's the other thing too. And you can tell me not everybody has to fight every week, and that's fine. That's fair. But if we don't have a Raw champion, and you're saying United States Championship, folks, is the title, not having him really featured bothered me a little bit in terms of like, he's Bobby fucking Lashley. I don't want to see him in street clothes. He looks normal. Show me the hulking massive man. Like, that's what I want to see.
I don't know. I think he kind of looks good in his street clothes, especially when he brings out the goggles.
The goggles are too much for me.
No, I love it. I love it. I love smart Lashley.
I don't know. It's just, it's bizarre. It's fucking bizarre. That's all I got to say about that. Moving on, we've hit a lot of our things here. I'm curious how you'd feel about the Miz Force. We didn't really talk about it.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it's like, I watch the segment and I enjoy it. I love the minute I saw the Edmonton thing in the background, I'm like, that's Dexter Lumis. And I just love that it was. And I love that he smashed a hockey stick over his back and he choked him out in the gear and then gave him a little pat on the head. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's just like, we're taking such small progressions in this feud that like, it's not one of those things I'm like, oh my God, and lead the show with. And we do. Yeah, we kind of forget it. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying it because this is a really, really slow burn. I thought the Miz Force thing was a funny gimmick for a week. And it's just like, no matter what the Miz is doing right now, he just can't get away from Dexter. But it's one of those things like, Dexter is such a weird character because he's obviously taking out the Miz and like mad, but then he's patting him like a dog, like he's taking care of him. So it's like, it's weird.
I don't know where this ends up, right?
I don't either.
I don't know what Joe meant by the kitchen looked great. I have no idea what that was, but it is what it is. Interesting. We have a lot of random stuff. Your boy over here, Joe, saying that Omas has molten lava heat. The hell does that even mean?
I don't know. That sounds like a good thing if he's getting that kind of heat.
You think? I don't even think. I mean, poor Joey Gibson and Greg Lester. You know, peace out, jobber alert. But it is what it is. I'm all for Omas having these no-name locals, and that's great.
But it's one of those things. Like we saw that for so long, they progressed past it. They had like actually the good feud with Lashley at Mania, and then obviously Omas was in Money in the Bank. But since then, it's like it doesn't seem like they know what to do with him. So he's been sporadically on TV, and when he has, it's been a squash match. But the only thing that I'm going to keep an eye on with this is you notice on commentary, right when MVP sat down, they mentioned Braun, and he pretty much told him to F off, which, I mean, that to me is a WrestleMania level match just because of their size, but it seems like that's something that might be coming sooner rather than later because, I mean, you go down the roster, and it's like you stop at Braun, you stop at Omas for obvious reasons. So it makes sense, but, you know, we'll see.
Our boy Sal's back. Yo, it's WrestleMania Salvation. Check out WrestleMania Salvation. He's awesome. Saying we're doing a great job. So mutual
Thanks,
love.
Sal.
Both ways. Sal's great. We're great. We're having a great time. So check out Sal, WrestleMania Salvation. He does a great job. So, I get it. Sorry. Go back to whatever. He's saying Riddle and Lashley were in a kitchen during the segment with the brick oven. I think that was a locker room, pal, with the TV.
I don't know. I barely remember this segment, so
I'm going to go back to the tape. I'm going to prove that you're wrong. Send you a screen cap, or if you can beat me to it, that's fine. So it is what it is. I don't know. Sal makes a great point here. Says, why do fireballs make a comeback in wrestling that needs to stop in the 90s? I made the joke.
Blame Jericho.
Jericho's the problem. I'm wearing a Monday
I'm a wizard,
Night
damn it.
Jericho shirt, by the way, because he's a wizard. That's why. No,
he's also a champion again.
He's also a champion. He's definitely not going to get anything from us in this aspect. Fireballs have never been good. They should probably leave in Japan where they do it correctly. That's for Conway, because Conway loves him some Japanese wrestling.
Shout out Conway.
We love the Conway. And Dom, who just recorded another NJPW podcast for the Jobber Knocker last night, I think, because they were on my case about stuff. That's fine. Anything else about things that you hated specifically before we get into other things?
My biggest heat of the week this week isn't from Raw, isn't from SmackDown. I'm going to NXT.
Whoa!
Yeah, because you ready? It's just a two for Nestlemania. You know, I get why they did it. But the way that they made Solo Sikoa relinquish that North American Championship left a really sour taste in my mouth, and I really didn't like it. But what made it even worse was they made Melo, who has been the A-champ, and besides Braun, been one of the more dominant force in NXT. They made him look like a whiny bitch, which I can forgive that. But then they get in the ring, and he gets pinned by the fucking job squad of all job squads in fucking Andre Chase University. Get the fuck out of my face, NXT, with that shit. Oh my God, that was bad. Like, it's one of those things, like Andre Chase is fun, 24/7, like whatever. But to pin Melo, are you fucking kidding me? Get the fuck out of my face.
I tend to agree with you on the title situation. It was very odd. Very odd. Like, why did it was weird because it was like a shock and awe. Then we had to give it away. You can't give it back to the champion. So you have to wait 6 weeks for a random like ladder match, which will be fun and probably means Melo won't win it. If I can probably venture a guess here. Yeah. But I don't know. The people that were in, is there one or two more people?
Well, some dude beat Waller because one of the new guys beat Waller.
Yeah, because Apollo was there.
Apollo, because it's going to be Apollo and Grayson at that thing.
That bloody eye and Apollo. Did you understand that, by the way? I didn't really get that. What was the bloody eye for? Does anybody out there understand that?
I don't know. You're the detective, not me. So
no, I know, but I mean, I'm not looking at a fine tooth comb, you know, with the NXT as I am everything else in the world.
No matter what Grayson Waller does, I laugh because that motherfucker is so goddamn funny. So.
Yeah, your boy Joe saying NXT trying to be AEW with all those title changes. Yeesh.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's one of those things like NXT for the most part, like Melo, don't miss for me. Like even the things that are questionable, I still enjoy because I think it's a fun show. But this really upset me this week.
Sal with the assist saying he raked his eyes twice the week before during the match.
That's right.
But here's my question to Sal: wouldn't that have already healed up? I don't know. Just seems like
maybe we'll get an eye for an eye match.
Oh, good. Because that was so good the first time around. We were trying to get rid of fireballs. We're going to bring back an eye for an eye match, folks. We're going to bring back might as well bring back Eric Rowan and have a stairs match.
Grayson Glass Eye has a good ring to it.
Oh God, Grayson Glass Eye. I love that he dissed his own mother in a promo. So that's good. It's fine.
Dude, the guy is incredible. I love him.
He says
so much.
they sold it on commentary like he dug his
I
thumb
do
in
remember
there.
that.
All right, so look, I don't know. It's just it seemed odd. It seems odd to me. It's a very weird thing. Like, is Apollo going to end up with like an eye patch? I don't know.
He might look cool.
I don't know. It's just odd. It doesn't make any sense, folks. It's bizarre. It's fucking bizarre. Anything else you want to get hopeful?
Nope, that's all I got.
Let's get hopeful. I'll give it to you first. You're my only hope. Would you like to go first?
No, you can go.
Okay, great. So I've been thinking about this very, very hard, folks. And the one thing I really wanted to focus on here, let me make sure I have it right before I get into this, is I'm really surprised that they haven't done more with this White Rabbit situation, right? So we're getting to the point where we're hoping that it's Bray Wyatt. Some people say it's Aleister Black.
Can't be.
Can't be.
Did you see his IG live yesterday, people?
What did he say? He's there for 5 more years.
Well, he didn't say that. He said it was a lie that it was a 5-year contract, but he said, no, I'm just taking time off and I will be back in AEW at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Meltzer came out and said, yeah, Tony Khan said, fuck you to anyone who asked for their release. So he's doing the same thing Vince did. You know, it just the shoe's on the other foot now. So
sure. So my hope here is that, it's not Edge. It's not, and Triple H said in an interview, he says it's about somebody that nobody's talking about. I don't know if he's trying to throw the scent off. That's fine. I'm still sticking with Bray. There's a lot to unpack. I'm not going to get into detective just yet unless you want to. But the one thing here, actually, fuck it. I'll do it. I'm going to change my hope on the fly. Their QR code last night led to this entire video, right? I don't know if you watched the video. I did. There were a lot of people in there. A lot of ECW guys, a lot of old guys, a lot of random stuff. Your boy Cody was in there. So there's a lot of things going on in this video. But of course, all of that leads to there's a number at the end of that video, which was a zip code that led to the Devil's thing that I was trying to tell you. And it's in Corbin, Kentucky, JC.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, there's a Wyndham Corbin Hotel. And there's also a connection here, folks, to this Devil's thing having the 6 that are alive from this burning thing. And there's Wyatt 6, right? So I'm thinking to myself, we're getting a stable. We're going to get a stable here. But here's what I want. I want Baron Corbin to go back to the Lone Wolf. I want Baron Corbin to be part of this stable, but in a weird, like I want the Lone Wolf, well, the wolf part anyway, in this Wyatt 6. It's going to be Wyatt and a couple other people. But I'm curious what you could think of, JC, with a Lone Wolf character redux. Like what could you do with that?
Well, it's hard to put a lone wolf in a stable.
Well, okay, the wolf. Make him.
No.
Cool.
I know, but I know what you're saying. That you're not necessarily saying him being one, but you're saying like that type of character, which was the darker, grittier Corbin we had originally. Which, as you know, like I was all about that character. I've been a Corbin guy since day one, since actual day one. So yeah, I love that. And Corbin's done such a good job of showing that he can do any type of character, and he's done great with the goofy and all this. But like, I mean, Corbin's huge. He's a badass. We know he's one of the better heel workers they have in the entire company. We know people love to work with him because he makes everyone look good, whether you're big or small. So I wouldn't mind, because I think for him to be that world champion that I know he can be, it has to be like as this more dominant heel, as opposed to like the happy Corbin or the broke ass Corbin or all that. So, and I think at some point, like obviously we've known Corbin started to like, dissipate from TV a little bit. He kind of like was broken down when McAfee was making fun of him and he was losing to everyone. So they're clearly destroying him to bring him back renewed. And it's definitely not something I thought about with putting him with a Wyatt type, like a Wyatt 6 or Wyatt family type thing. But I think it could be interesting because it's one of those things like, he can like be like not necessarily loyal to Bray Wyatt, but like work with Bray Wyatt as kind of like, whether it's like a bounty hunter, lone wolf type character. I think that could work. So you could be onto something here. I think Corbin with kind of like the Bray Wyatt treatment and direction, I think it could be very interesting.
Do you think that that video, because like there are things in this video that make me kind of raise a couple eyebrows? Because there's Orton, right? We know Orton can be a serpent. We know Orton can be part of that 6 because they have unfinished business. I mean, WrestleMania is kind of what it is. People are also saying Karrion Kross and Scarlett as part of this entire thing. I don't want to see that because that means I'm done. I don't want to see that. My hope is that they stay separate or against each other. Let's do that. Let them have a swamp match or something. But Braun is so interconnected with Wyatt, he has to be part of this Wyatt 6, in my opinion. He has
maybe
to be.
down the line, but I think there's such like I think at least through WrestleMania, like they have to do the babyface run with Braun because it's kind of the return tour and the reactions that he gets. But down the line, you know, once like everything else, once we see it for a while, you got to change it up. Like I think obviously that makes sense.
And here's the other thing too is Cody's such an interesting feeling, like what he's doing, you know, when he comes back. But Cody and Braun would be fun, but Cody and Wyatt, to me, like, I know we're not going to get the Fiend again. If we did, I'd fucking mark out. We're going to get this rabbit, whatever. But if we get to a point Bunny, don't be a lemon, be a rosebud. So anyway, my thought would be here very quickly as another hope is if Bray Wyatt continues to do these things, I want people to go back to another form after they've interacted with him. And I think that's what I'm kind of hinting at here. Cody Rhodes doing the face gimmick with the, you know, the whole thing would be just a little bit of fun whenever it occurs, right? Like we noticed that once they lost to the Fiend, they kind of like went into this like dark, deep place. I kind of want to see something like that happen with all these people because Orton would be fun. You know, Edge would be fun. They have a lot of people in this video. Cena would be fun one more time. And seeing Cody, Austin would be great, but that's never going to happen. But there's so many things that I think that could happen. So I think when Bray comes back, inevitably, I want to see Corbin be part of this in some form or fashion, but I want to see these other people step up to him and go back to these darker spots because I think he's a doorway and an access point to get to these other things. So that's my hope. I want him to be a catalyst to getting these more edgier characters that we've been missing.
Yeah, no, I think if you put him with Cody, Cody would do whatever he wanted and like would really like go all in, and they could do some fun things where like if they do like gimmicky type matches, like there'd be Stardust teases and all these things. Like there's a million places they go with it. So I think that would be a fun. There's a lot of guys on the roster that with the thing is with Bray, even if it's bad, it's still interesting because not everything's going to be a hit, but it's just like he's so unique and he has such like a different type of mind and approach to things that it's always interesting. So, and we assume Alexa might be part of this too if there's really going to be 6. So there's a million things they can do. But my hope in Nestlemania is actually, it's a different type of dark. I'm going with the Judgment Day.
I thought you were going to go with AEW dark.
Sorry. You know how many episodes of AEW dark I watched in my life? Yeah, maybe like I watched one match on it one time because someone told me it was good or someone I liked. I don't even know. But yeah, no, it can stay in the dark where it is. Rampage is bad enough, and I picture that as the worst Rampage. So, but we move on. Mine is obviously they're doing these teases with Finn and AJ, and it sure seems like AJ isn't going to join. But to me, I think that means that he eventually will because I think they're going to break him down so much. And here's one of those things: it's like babyface AJ is fine because we like AJ, but like most things. Most guys are better when they're a heel, and I think AJ would have more direction with it. AJ and Finn together again, even if it was for a little bit of time, would be a cool dynamic. But we obviously have War Games coming up, and the Judgment Day is 3 members, male. So we would assume that the fourth one would have to come in. But if we're looking at their opponents, you got to think Edge, Mysterio, and Riddle are 3 of them, and AJ would make sense as the 4th. But what I would do in the lead up to that, so obviously we're a little bit away from this because it would have to happen before Survivor Series, is like they have AJ as the 4th member, but the Judgment Day is just teasing like we have this new member, we have this new member, we have this new member. And maybe like the week before, AJ turns on the baby faces and joins the Judgment Day. So it kind of flips the script. Like maybe that's how they win the advantage or whatever. And so suddenly your Judgment Day is Finn, AJ, Priest, and Dom against Edge, Ray, and Riddle, and it's like, well, what the fuck are they gonna do now? We need like another baby face. The thing I've always loved about Survivor Series is you get the courting of the random people. Maybe they're trying to court Seth Rollins, and he's like, no, or like teasing her. Because remember, like with the Miz Daniel Bryan thing, that was such a cool thing that they did. They'd kind of do something similar, where maybe like Seth, like maybe is gonna do it, but he's like playing it cool or whatever. But at the last moment, they replace him because someone on that team has a friend that, if they returned, would get a big pop. And we know he's a fantastic wrestler. And I'm just going to pose because I hear the voices in my head. Randy Orton to me would be a perfect fourth member for that team. I don't know what his recovery or whatever timetable looks like, but if it is close, I think this would be cool because then you got RK Bro, Edge, and Mysterio taking on the Judgment Day. I would love to see Randy Orton in a War Games environment. I think all 8 of these guys would steal the absolute show. So that's my hope. JC's hopes come true. JC knows. Judgment Day, man, it has me. It didn't for a long time, but it has me now.
Your boy Wes is in the chat saying, would they run back the Dakota War Games heel turn with AJ?
That would be cool too.
That'd be cool.
Do it right before the match. Yeah, because that Dakota, that's probably my favorite moment from War Games history is when Dakota turned on Tegan.
Joe, you're absolutely wrong. You said this Edge, Raid, Riddle, Gargano, and LeRae. Give me that fucking no way. No
How did
fucking
you come
way.
up with that?
You are bizarre. You are a bizarre individual. The fact that
LeRae will probably be in the women's one with Team Bianca.
with the damage control maybe, but not this one. This. If anything, Beth Phoenix is going to get in there against Rhea. Like that.
I don't think Rhea's going to be in the match. I think she'll play a role in the match, but I don't think she's going to be part of the match.
I just want to see it. I
do too. I want Rhea versus Dom one-on-one Extreme Rules, an Extreme Rules match, but Poppy and Mommy don't always get what they want.
Well, you can see that on the OnlyFans account, I'm sure. It'll just
mine.
Well, you got an OnlyFans account? Is it just feet?
I should. I'd be rich, wouldn't it?
It's just feet, right? Anybody that loves JC, send pictures of your feet to
Don't
him.
do that. If you will be I don't block people on Twitter unless if you're like hateful.
There you go.
But like if you send me feet pics, that's worse than being anything you could do.
Send your feet pics to @JC of the JK on Twitter.
Do not do that. You will be blocked for eternity, and I will report you, and I will literally like write Twitter until they ban you for life.
Well, that's obscene, honestly.
So our feet. Get that shit out of my
They're
fucking
still
face,
part of the body.
literally.
They're still part of the body.
Not a good part. They're the worst part of the body.
Joe, get off your fucking rocker saying Candice cancels out fucking Rhea. Are you nuts? It takes like 6 Candice LeRae.
I like Candice, but come on. It's not even close.
Ray's not even here. And Ray, God bless him. Ray would have a problem with that right there alone. Ray would be upset.
Should we get to the comeback?
Let's get comebacky, all right?
Don't call it a comeback, Nestlemania. Everybody loves the Acclaimed, especially JC. They're one of the biggest reasons why I watch AEW every week. It's MJF and the Acclaimed, then FTR and on down the line. But they're up there because they're entertaining as hell. This should have happened at the pay-per-view, but the minute we saw that press conference and Tony Khan's like, you know what? Maybe we're going to run it back in their hometown at Grand Slam. You're like, well, they're fucking winning. You can see on Lee and Swerve's face too. They're like, are you fucking serious, bro? Like, come on. Like, fuck you. And, you know, it happened. It was a cool moment. It wasn't obviously as good as the original match, which it was hard to live up to. This one had a lot more botches and whatever, but I don't care. We got the moment. And for me, I thought this was a big moment in AEW history because we can look at it and like you can look at like MJF and guys like that and call them like homegrown AEW stars. But to me, like this was a tag team that was formed within AEW when there wasn't a crowd or anything. There were 2 guys that were put together, 2 guys that people probably weren't familiar with at all, 2 young guys, 2 guys that were kind of very different, but came together and made this beautiful tag team. And they've kind of come from literally nothing where they were just on Dark doing raps. So then they came up and they were jobbers for a month, but then we slowly had to take them more seriously because of the reactions they get. So to me, like they are truly AEW's first true pure AEW breakout act. I absolutely love them. Now that they're champs, they've had their moment. We'll see what they do next. But for me, that was a super hot fire moment and they get my comeback.
WrestleMania Salvation says they didn't need Billy Gunn helping them, though. That was obnoxious. So
I don't disagree, but I mean, Daddy Ass being part of them with the like, it's just like, I mean, that T-shirt's selling off the shelves. I can't imagine people wearing that in public, but they are. But
God bless you,
Daddy.
If you wear that in public, you got balls of steel. Honest to God, if you can wear that in public, I tend to agree with Salvation because it's hard, you know, to sit there and be like, it takes away from the moment a little bit when someone else gets involved like that. But there was just like. They took me out of it when like Max hurt his leg for the elbow drop and like all these other things. And I'm just like, they won, fucking confetti. Great. But then it felt like in my head, I'm like, did they fucking get hurt? Did they win the tag titles and get hurt? Like that
happens
suck.
A lot in AEW.
That would suck, right?
They'll be fine.
Speaking of my comeback and getting hurt, I'm giving my comeback to one Saraya. Or Saraya, depending on how she says it.
How she pronounces it, I believe.
It's Saraya, I think.
And like the dictionary tried to correct her, and she's like, "Fuck you, it's my name."
Yeah, it's Saraya. So I'm excited. Paige is back. I'm still going to say Paige. She looked great. My worry is that she's going to get injured with all these buffoons that wrestle like maniacs. So you know, there's that, and of course, her neck is a big issue. I'm always curious when they don't get cleared by the WWE, but they get cleared by other places.
Well, it's one of those
Still
things
fishy.
like AEW said that like the leaks have come out that she's not cleared by them, but we have a source that may indicate that she's been cleared at least by some doctors. So who the fuck knows? But she's talking on Wednesday. Look it, we're a big Paige fans on this podcast, but for me, like it was cool because I didn't expect it, and to see her get that love from the crowd, I love it because I love Paige. But at the same time, I was a little disappointed because I would much rather have her in WWE. I think there's more talented women for her to work with. She obviously has a history there. In AEW, I think it's a huge get for them. It's someone that can help the division, whether she's wrestling or not. But I just like, besides Jamie Hayter, I'm running down the list. Like, what are your dream matches for Paige in AEW?
Well, they get a boner for Brit Baker versus Paige, but honestly,
that's honestly probably the second most interesting because Brit Baker is a fucking character. But
right, but there are not a lot of characters. I mean, like Jade versus Paige would be cool, I guess.
That would be good, but I don't think they're doing that anytime soon.
No. But the other thing too is like, if she's not wrestling, why the fuck is she there? Like the whole point for her was that she wanted to come back and wrestle.
But I think it's going to start as maybe she's an on-screen character. I don't know, but it just
the other thing that was very odd, and I think Joe pointed this out. I think more importantly, she came out and there was like 3 heels in the ring, and they all bowed out to her, and it's like, she can't, like, she's fragile. Or
I know, but what I did love is Britt looked fucking like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, she, again, the one woman in AEW with character, like, fucking sold it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's like, look at, like, I don't know. It's tough. I'm
excited for her. I'm excited to see her on my TV. She's always been great, and I've always been a supporter. So she's always been the reason why it works. She's kind of like the reason the women's division kind of works in general. So maybe she can do what she did in WWE for AEW. Birdsky with a hot take saying her theme song stinks. Well, it's hard to come back from.
Her W. That's another reason why I was disappointed. It's like we might never hear that theme again, and that's one of the all-time bangers.
Yeah, and honestly, Bertsky, if that's your real name, that's her boyfriend's theme or song that he sings or does with his band. So that's why she's doing it. So just get used to it, okay? Just saying. With Omega gone and suspended, they may have Soraya as an on-screen booker. Joe. What did you fucking
on-screen booker?
What did you fucking smoke today? Yo, what did you fucking smoke today? Honest to God, are you high in your fucking car listening to us right now? Come on, these takes are almost as bad as Guthrie.
It's like we're reading Guthrie's Twitter.
Yeah, seriously. Follow @Guthrie Roy Harford on Twitter. It's fine. He's great. He's wonderful. He's also got takes that are colder than the fucking cold miser. It's fine.
He makes Nestle look like a little warmer.
I'm lukewarm Nestle comparative to poor Guthrie, but I still love Guthrie because he's entertaining.
He had some all timers. Like I think it was last week or the week before. I kind of praised him on this program.
Yeah, you did too much. Now look what you did.
He took all that goodwill last night. I mean, you could just
pulled his pants down and shit all over it. He fucking heaped Randy Moss. It was awful. What's going on here? I don't know. I'm Ubering quite sober. I thank you for not drinking and driving or intoxicated and driving. I'm Ubering while listening and watching. Wait, so you're texting and driving? That's not good.
No, he's probably sitting there waiting to pick up a ride. Come on.
No, listen. If he's Ubering and texting in a car, he can still get pulled over.
Hey, tell your customers to listen to the Jobber Knocker. You download, subscribe.
Yeah, seriously, Joe, you need to start handing out Jobber Knocker stickers in your Uber.
He probably can't do that legally.
No, he's not saying anything. He's just, we're not some type of
what
prostitute.
You do is like,
in
how some
Vegas,
people like have water bottles in the back. You just have a stack of them in the back, and if they want to take them, they can take them. That's what you do.
Listen, Joe, I love you, but you got to start promoting. Come on. Uber by Joe with the Jobber Knocker sticker. That's all
Uber
I'm asking.
Knockers.
Uber Knockers. You'd fucking pick up so many. You get 5. Dude, you get a 5-star review. You'd get a 5-star review. I'm just saying.
5 stars, 5 flames.
Yes,
all
exactly.
podcasting platforms.
Chilling in Essex with a JK mask on.
There you go. There you go.
Promoting. All right. But don't, leave it running. If people want tunes, say, no. I've got a really great podcast for you. I'm listening to it right now. It's fine. It'd be great.
Should we go to the finish?
Give me the big old finish. We got to get JC out of here.
On SmackDown, we have Hit Row finally taking on the Los Lotarios, which hopefully means Maxine's there. We have Sammy and Solo taking on Madcap and Ricochet. I can't wait for that match. And then we have Shotzi versus Bayley, because that's what I need in my life is damage control on every fucking show.
Damage control needs to go away. That's what I've decided.
No. They just need to be on one show a week. Pick
Dakota Kai needs to do all of the talking. Io Shirai / Sky needs to be going back to that leather black and yellow thing that got me all hot and bothered. And Bayley needs to just wrestle. Just fucking wrestle because she's
well,
awesome.
she is against Shotzi, so they'll
Good
probably be a
fucking
little
God.
messy. We go to Raw. Dakota Kai, as you mentioned, will be wrestling Candice LeRae. We have Otis versus Gargano. Pew pew pew, and even more so, Braun v. Gable in Gable's hometown of St. Paul, Minnesota. His reaction to the phone call and just looking horrified, and the whole segment just continued, and he looked horrified the whole time, even when Otis was hyped up. It's why Chad Gable is one of my favorite wrestlers on the planet, man. He is so fucking good, and he is on another level right now.
I listen, I loved him from basically shitting his pants in that backstage segment. I don't know how we got Theory's number, but it's fun. He's gonna get smushed, and that's okay. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and we're gonna talk about it next week. How much fun we had with it. Very quickly, our boy Sal says, I'm hoping that they do a draft because they need to keep the roster separate for real this time.
I agree.
But Sal, I think we're going to get into a point where it's morphing into just
they have to make a decision on Roman Reigns and the Usos at some point. If they split those titles again, it becomes a lot easier. But if they're going to have one regular champion and then one set of men and women's tag team champions, you're going to get a lot of like the interbreeding. So we'll see. Until they do a draft, like he said, we're kind of in that in between. But Nestlemania, we got a loaded NXT tonight, Tuesday, if you're listening.
Hope the Von Wagon's on there.
I don't think he is. We have Cameron Grimes versus Joe Gacy. We have Caden Carter versus Nikita Lyons. We have Damon Kemp versus Brutus Creed. We have Sol Ruka debuting. We have Briggs and Jensen taking on Goddess. And we have Wesley taking on Tony D. I believe in one of them ladder things.
So Wesley's going to win that one for sure because Wesley in a ladder match just sounds fun. I don't care for a couple of those things. I'm not going to lie to you.
Briggs, Jensen, and Gallus.
Yeah.
I don't care either.
That doesn't matter. Briggs and Jensen is just thanks for coming for me. So
what about Sol Ruka's debut?
Who the fuck is Sol Ruka?
Some woman on a beach, according to the vignettes they've been showing for 2 months.
I don't know. I mean, they've been hitting out of the park with the women's division in NXT, so I'm gonna guess that we're all gonna love it. It's fine. Of course, they say Ariana Grace, future women's champion later, boys. Bye-bye, Birdsky. If that's your real name, go play fucking Call of Duty.
If you Google simp in the dictionary, you see a picture of Bert staring at Ariana Grace.
I would say so. He's an Ariana Grande kind of girl, but I guess Ariana Grace is good enough.
Yeah. Santino's daughter, baby, which, I mean, here's the thing. Because I was curious how Santino, kind of created that. I Googled his wife.
JC.
I Googled Santino's wife, and Santino, you're an Italian stud, my man. We're going to head over to AEW where, you know what? We might as well call it Forbidden Door because we're back to this where AEW doesn't have enough people on the roster to wrestle. We have fucking John Moxley taking on Juice Robinson, who I love CJ Parker. I hope he comes out with a sign and blonde hair and the picket fence or whatever. But whatever. It's, Moxley fights who he wants. It's just never anyone on the roster. We have Saraya speaking, as we said. And we have Jericho taking on Bandito, who is also not signed to AEW.
I think Bandito has at least connections to Ring of Honor, so I'll buy that. I'll buy that enough. But this Juice coming out of nowhere thing makes no. I mean, I'm sure
he's the only one who I think pinned Moxley or whatever besides Punk. But and again, I love Juice, but it's again like we look at this happens every time Moxley is champ. It's like, oh, I'm gonna fight everyone who's not employed by AEW. It's like, well, then you shouldn't be the fucking champion, you moron.
I don't know. It's just
crown Sammy Guevara.
You know what? Sammy Guevara is headed to the Miz territory, isn't he?
He's that's why for me, I'm appreciating more and more because the hate for him, it's just like when you take a guy who becomes so hated and he embraces all of it, like that guy's money. That guy is money forever now. Good job, crowd. You made him a bigger star than he ever would have been.
I just don't know where else we can go with him, honestly. But
just keep doing what you're doing.
Let him match.
And look, everyone praises Moxley for being like, oh, he was going to take a vacation, but he came back to do this. Sammy did the same fucking thing. He's like, I was going to be off 6 weeks, but Tony called me, said he needed me, and I came. So keep all that energy you've been giving to John. Give it to Sammy too. Like we've said, he obviously has made some mistakes in his life. He's going to be a piece of shit. We know that. I don't disagree with that, but he's here, man, and he is one of the better on-screen characters he has. He sacrifices for this company like a lot of other people have. Like, he wants to be there. And AEW, since MJF has come back, it's been a really good place because it seems like they kind of cut out kind of the issues that they had, and they're letting people just do their thing, and it's been a lot more fun since.
I am curious to see what they do because I don't know if AEW is going to be great this week, so a lot of time.
MJF will be there, so I'll at least enjoy that. The Acclaimed will probably be on the show. I'll enjoy that. Saraya speaking, I'll enjoy that. But yeah, these matches certainly don't get me excited.
No, not at all. And Rampage is what it is. So anything else you'd like to talk about before we hit the can?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Anyway, we thank you for listening to the Jobber Knocker. We'll be back next week with more Jobber Knockery.
And you can get these hands